Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. Now, today I want to do this video discussing a few topics that are causing a great deal of confusion within the black race of people. Now, being as though our history is scattered about, this causes confusion in itself. And we all know wherever there's confusion, you'll have chaos. And it's a deep thing. But I want to go ahead into the first topic of discussion. Now, Dr. Umar Johnson said on The Breakfast Club, basically, it's a disgrace if a black person marries a white person. And this is something that's floating around the conscious community and the Black Pan-African movement. This is a very strong statement that they stand on, that black people should not date outside their race, and if you date a white person or marry a white person, you're pretty much a disgrace. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. Now, I know what we went through during slavery, our peoples. I fully grasp what happened during slavery, and I know this is the reason for that feeling in that statement. But it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. This is not true. This is racist. This is a racist way of thinking. Now, I want y'all to grasp before y'all get upset. Most black people that you see in America, they already have the white man's blood in them from centuries ago. So me, you, Chris Rock, most black African Americans already have the white man's blood in them. So to say it's a disgrace for a black man to date a white person or for a black woman to date a white man, this is absurd when you remove racism from your mind and just look at things from the perspective of the life. See, we're way past black people not dating outside of their race. We're past that point. We're at a point now where half of the black people you have in America, they're married to Spanish, white, Chinese, etc., Indian, Guyanese, whatever. And a lot of the babies that are being born in today's times, well, a lot of them are half white already. Their parents are, one parent is white, the other is black. So what? We reject them? They're a disgrace? And this is where it gets very disrespectful. We have to be careful of the things we believe in and how disrespectful they are to our own. Because those mixed little babies, that are made in today's times, that are half white, half black, they have nothing to do with that foolishness. And when that foolishness is spoken of, you got to look at the perspective of the baby. Because now the baby, like, what is this? And it's a deep thing we have to grasp. This is where racism leads. It leads to little mixed babies being confused and lost. And now when you dig back into reality and fully understand that all the black people you see in today's times, they're only this race because of the mix and mingling of the past. For a black man to utter the words out of his mouth that it's basically a disgrace for a black man to date outside of his race is absurd, being as though the black race is basically a race of mutts, meaning the natives of the land mixed and mingled with the white man, the African, and this is how you get the multitude of black people you see today in America. So we're all the results of mixing and mingling. All black people you see are mutts. And we know this is a fact because we know they were breeding during slavery time. Everybody. And we're the results of that. So how are you a mixed person telling someone, man, you can't, it's absurd, especially when half your makeup is white. We have to think before we speak. We have to think on how racist the things we say are, because when you're lost in racism, nothing you say makes sense, truly. And it's a deep thing Dr. Umar Johnson has to grasp. He's popular, but he doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's because of his racist thoughts. And it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Because y'all think black people can't be racist because black people don't have any power to be racist. And this is weird because racism is a thought. It has nothing to do with an action. An action is what it is. So if you slap somebody in the face because you're racist, well, you assaulted them. It doesn't matter what you thought. When someone is assaulting someone, there's going to be some type of verbal assault that goes with it. There's going to be some type of hate with them that goes with it. So to say, oh, they racistly assaulted me, that's stupid. You just got assaulted. So the action, there's no racist acts. There's only assault and murder. And they will be the cause of racist thoughts and all types of things. But you have to grasp, racism lies with the thoughts. It has nothing to do with physical power. That is absurd. You have to think on that for just 15. Some of you may have to think on it for a year, but just think on that. What does power have to do with racism? Everything starts with a thought. Everything. We know this. Everything starts with a thought. Racism is a thought, which leads to violent acts. And the acts are what they are. Assault, murder, or whatever. Vandalism, whatever. But that's the act. The racism was the thought. And black people have become completely racist in the way they think. And I know it's easy to blame the white person and say, well, if we're racist, it's because of them. And I know it's easy to just point the finger at them, but we have to realize this does nothing for us. It's stupid when you think about it, because if black people have no fault in their conditions, then how are they in these conditions? Think about that. I don't care who's oppressing you or what's happening. There has to be some type of lack of something for someone to oppress you. So we have to start looking at things from the true, ugly perspective of self and ask ourselves, why out of all races are we the race that was able to get oppressed in this manner for years after years? Why is that? And that should let you know it's something wrong with the race. But it's a deep thing y'all don't want to grasp, or y'all don't want to look at. Y'all don't want to look at the ancestors of ours that are from the African continent, and how they sell each other out and chop each other arm off and do anything to each other. They really don't give a fuck about each other. Y'all don't want to look at that reality. And then y'all don't want to look at the reality of the Native Americans that were here, the black Native Americans that were here, and how they had tribes and they were always beefing with each other also. Now, towards the end, they tried to join the Iroquoian, I forgot the name, the Iroquoian nation or whatever, I forgot the name. But different tribes tried to band together and create little nations, but by that time it was too late. They were too busy arguing and fighting and dumb shit amongst each other. And this is what's wrong with us. It doesn't matter which ancestry you pull from. Motherfuckers got getting along problems. Excuse my language. We've always had getting along problems. So we just need to face that fact. We're oppressed because of us. You have to grasp, there's no one forcing anything on us at this point. We're doing it to ourselves. We keep making excuses and saying it's the white person's fault, as if the white person's going to say, oh yeah, you're right, it's my fault, let me fix this for you. No one's going to do that because the white people of today didn't physically do the deed. So why would they feel like, oh, I need to fix it? They could look right back at you and say, why don't you fix it? You're the descendants of the slaves, we're the descendants of the masters. Why don't y'all fix it? Since y'all the ones that's the slave descendants, why y'all looking for us to fix it? Because y'all privileged. Well, it doesn't matter, because whoever's at the top, their people are going to be privileged. So if you had black people running life, well, then black people would be a little privileged. If you had Indians running America, well, then Indians here would be a little privileged. And this is what that whole system does. So it doesn't matter who's on the top. It doesn't matter to say, oh, white people are privileged. Well, your ancestors let them come over here and do what they want. And this is how you got that. You're sitting around dwelling on foolish things of the past that don't matter, repeating the same things that caused those of the past to be oppressed. We're doing the same things to be oppressed now. Arguing amongst each other, saying dumb stuff and all of this weird stuff. Pointing fingers at people, talking about the past. Black men don't got the same access as white people. Black people don't have the same access as white people because black people keep doing shit to bring their level. Black people keep doing shit to bring their value down. You have to think, the ghetto is the ghetto because of who lives there. We be talking crazy like, oh, the white people put us in the ghettos. How do you think the ghettos turn fucked up? Because of us. Oh, they put liquor stores there. You're buying it. Like, wake up. It's a whole bunch of stuff in the hood that y'all don't buy. Do liquor the same. We got too many excuses, and we not looking at reality. In reality, there's no white people like that living in the ghetto. So if the ghetto is fucked up and dirty and niggas is dying, it's because of whoever lives there. And we live there, so we make the ghetto messed up. If white people from Beverly Hills and Hollywood swap places with niggas in the ghetto, Hollywood and Beverly Hills would look fucked up. Because this is what we do. We get mad, we loot in our own area like that's doing something. We don't buy any businesses, then we complain that no one's hiring us. Well, everybody else got jobs because their ancestors are doing the things we should be doing now instead of complaining. Because this is what our mothers and fathers, and this is what their mothers and fathers all the way back was doing. Sitting around complaining instead of saying, let's just fix this because this is getting out of hand. We ain't got no businesses and we keep saying dumb stuff. Oh, they won't give us any loans. Stop looking for people to do things for you. You know how life works. When you don't have shit and you at the bottom, ain't nobody gonna help you until you start to help yourself, and then they see that they can benefit off you, then they help you because they like, oh, you can be an ally now. But when you a low-life bum at the bottom, you're useless to me, so what am I helping you for? You keep the system going. So we just have to look at things from a real perspective. And I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not trying to disrespect Dr. Umar Johnson. I think he does a good job when he's speaking of the ADHD problems and how they just bullshit talk all of that. They throw them in special ed. They don't go observe them in special ed. They just take the second. So I was observing Dr. Umar Johnson, listening to the things he said, because usually I don't listen to nobody. So I took a moment to listen so I could critique things correctly. When he's dealing with the psychology of children and the way they deal with us, he's really good at that. When he starts talking about other things, he starts getting lost in racism. And when you see things from a racist perspective, or you see things from the wrong perspective, all things you start to see from that lopsided perspective. This is why perspective is important. You can't be unbalanced in any way when you're dealing with knowledge, because the scales will get tilted on your knowledge, and that's your perspective. Once your perspective becomes unbalanced, it's over as far as knowledge receiving is going. And y'all have to grasp this. This is why they say see with thine eye, because it's in the center. It's balance. See with balance. See with the spirit. See with the morality. Don't see with the physical, because you're going to pull to whatever is more beneficial to your physical, and you're going to completely ignore fairness, balance, morality, principle, things like this. And it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Now, I want to get into the black woman is God, because this is another thing that's causing a great deal of confusion. Now, the brothers that teach this, they believe this because they say all life starts or comes from a woman. But it's a deep thing, because what do you call a sperm cell? Being as though we are all sperm cells that got eggs. So everybody you see is a sperm cell in an egg, which is a body, a spirit in a body. Scientifically, they say sperm cells in eggs. So it's a simple thing. Now, we know the sperm cell comes from the man. So when you say all life starts or comes from the woman, well, what about when the life came from the man and went in the woman? Now, you have to remember, the sperm cell was mobile. It moved about. It made decisions. Left fallopian tube, right fallopian tube. They was fighting. So the sperm cell was a living being. It was conscious. If you can do that, you're conscious. You can look this up. Scientists say this. Everybody says this. Not saying the sperm is the spirit, but everybody says what I just said about, we know the sperm cell has to make choices, left fallopian and right, so there's nothing I'm saying wrong. That shows intellect. If you can move about and fight, which the sperm cells do according to science, so I'm using what y'all use. Even if I don't use what y'all use, it doesn't matter. We know sperm goes into woman, and then you get baby. So it's a simple thing you got to grasp. We know woman bleeds out egg cells. So it's a simple thing. Egg cells is bodies. Sperm cells is the spirit. What you truly are. And the sperm cell is still within the egg cell. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. When you say all life comes from the woman, you're completely ignoring where it came from before it came into her. So you have to grasp. Now, when you're dealing with sperm cells and eggs, you have to understand, eggs don't have sex. Eggs are not male or female. They're just blank-ass bodies that are going to get pushed out at the end of the month if they don't get a spirit. So it's a deep thing you got to grasp. Now, the spirit are the sperm cells. Sperm cells have sex before they even see the inside of the womb. Sperm cells are already male or female. This is science fact. If you want to go with what y'all go with, book knowledge, well, this is science fact. Sperm cells are male and female before they ever even see the womb. The microcell life within your body, besides the sperm cells, they got sex also. So this is how you know the sperm cells got sex too. So you have to grasp. Because they'll say that we were all women within the womb first. So this is the new lie floating around. That we are all female before we are male. And then some of us turn into male. This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Mind you, sperm cells have sex. Sperm cells get eggs. So how was we all female before we developed into a man? But what sense does that make according to science or anything? According to science, sperm cells have sex already, male and female. And according to the sperm cell is what the baby will be. So whatever the sperm cell is, this is what the egg will develop into being. Now the reason they can't see the penis until what? 3 to 5 months, I forgot exactly when. But they can't see the penis right away because it's developing, just like they can't see the goddamn feet right away. But they don't say, oh, it's a footless person. The baby was handicapped first. It was a legless person first. Then it turned into a person with legs. Like, this is basically what y'all saying. Because your penis didn't develop first, then you was a female all that time. All that time your penis was slowly developing and slowly poking out. Oh, you was a female all that time. This is what brothers are teaching. This makes no sense. It's sad. Y'all have to think a minute and truly know a thing, because they're mixing science in with make-believe. And the sad part about it is they're altering the science. So they're not really using the science. They're speaking on chromosomes completely wrong. The egg cell chromosomes are all X's because egg cells don't have no sex. This is why the egg cells are all X's. Then when you get to the sperm cells, depending on the sex of the sperm cell, the last 2 chromosomes on the sperm cell will either be XY or XX, making it male or female. The Y is not a deformed X because it's not alphabet. This is just what science correlated to so you can understand. So chromosomes look like X's and Y's, but they're not X's and Y's. So you don't have to think that the Y chromosome is a deformity of the X. The Y chromosome is smaller than the X because a man has less makeup to his genetics. He doesn't have big breasts. He doesn't have a complex vagina and womb and places to hold babies, and he doesn't have all that. He doesn't have as much makeup as a woman. He has all the same things as a woman, but hers is a little more complex. We know this just from looking at a woman. You need more genetic makeup to have more breasts. So grasp. This is why a female chromosome is all X's. Remember, the last 2 of the 23 chromosomes on the sperm cell, the last 2 determine the sex. If it's XX, that's female. If it's XY, it's male. It doesn't have all the extras that the woman has. It's smaller and looks deformed because it's less information. It's just information building up on itself. It stopped short because it didn't need any more because it's male. So y'all have to understand the things y'all say. They make no sense. And y'all are popular, y'all have a lot of following, and this is where it gets bad. Because people really get lost on this because it sounds good. Now, I'm not knocking women and saying women are inferior to men. We are all equal. And when you have an imbalanced spirit, this is how this happens. People start pulling to be dominant over the other. Mind you, we need each other. When are y'all going to grasp this? Life needs life. We all need each other. Now, I want to get into asexual reproduction. Again, asexual reproduction. Now, this is when a single-celled organism basically reproduces on its own. Grasp. This is when an organism reproduces, meaning has a baby on its own. And they use this to say that women in the past reproduced on their own before men came along. This is absurd. Now, I want y'all to grasp. Asexual reproduction is when an organism reproduces on its own. Now, plants and some insects, they are asexual, meaning they reproduce asexually. They don't need anyone. They can just reproduce on their own. Then you have some plants and some insects that can do both. They can reproduce with another partner, or they can just reproduce on their own. Then you have some that can just do one or the other. Well, we reproduce one way, meaning with a partner. You have some plants and insects that just reproduce on their own. They use that correlation to say that this is how women reproduced in the past. And this is absurd because we're not plants or insects. So how do you use plants and insects to make your point? This is called reaching. When you have to reach to stuff that has nothing to do with you to make your point, this is when it gets absurd. Now I want y'all to grasp. Plants and insects that reproduce asexually, they've always reproduced that way. And they still do now. The same way men have always reproduced how they do now. You have to grasp. I could see if y'all say, no, plants turned into people. But that ain't what happened. Things do what they always did. So if women reproduced on their own in the past, they would still reproduce on their own today. Even if they could reproduce with the man, they would still have the ability to reproduce on their own. What happened? Men popped up and then their genetic just changed? You have to make sense when speaking and teaching. Because when the perspective is off and unbalanced, meaning in racism, in dominion, where you're trying to make the woman more than the man or the man more than the woman, when you reach for this type of imbalance, then your perspective when receiving the knowledge will be imbalanced. And it's only a terrible thing because a lot of these brothers are popular. And popularity is fine, it's good. But being as though you have that popularity, you have to, it's your duty to teach people what makes sense and what is right. According to life. Y'all don't never look at the things y'all say according to life. Y'all will say the black woman is God and we all came from woman, but y'all ignore so much more that happened with that process in life. Just to make that point. And it's absurd. It makes no sense. It's like y'all like to believe in religion, the black woman is God. Y'all like to believe in these different things because they don't hold you to any true accountability. There's nothing you have to do but just believe. See how simple-minded that is? All you have to do is believe in Jesus and he's going to come fix everything for you. And this is why y'all like to believe in religion and things like that, because nothing is required of you. So it's easy. It's like, man, if I listen to Solace and the stuff he teach, I actually got to change things for myself. And y'all don't want to do this. Y'all just want to talk powerful. But y'all don't want to take the steps to truly be in power so that you can balance out the life. Being as though you coming from the low part of the balance, meaning when the scales is tilted and the life becomes unbalanced, black people at the bottom. They're on the untilted part. So when you get a power, your main focus should be to balance out the life and make sure that this slavery and dominion thing never happens again. Because whoever's on top, they're going to do what they do. And all those that are like them are going to be privileged. And this is going to cause a great deal of imbalance. And I don't care what's going on. When you have imbalance, it's going to cause problems eventually. And we all know this. A person may pretend like it's like y'all. Y'all pretend like y'all dumb and y'all don't mind that y'all slaves. And I go to work, I'm not a real slave. And you play dumb all you want. But y'all feel it within. Y'all are imbalanced within. Y'all wake up miserable within and angered easily because the anger's already within. And it's because y'all don't get up and take a stand for nothing. It's a deep thing y'all have to truly begin to start to grasp. Our perspective is messed up. Completely messed up. We're teaching things from the wrong perspective because we're in a beat up mindset. We're in an enslaved mindset. We like to say, yeah, we're getting enlightened, but we're getting enlightened still in the same mindset. This is why I say you have to fix your spirit before you receive knowledge. You have to balance yourself out. When I say balance yourself out, I'm talking fairness. You have to be able to look at a thing unbiasedly and see it fairly. You can't look at a flower and then look at a man and say, man is supreme to flowers because a man has the power to destroy the flower. A man has power, and power is to be used to compensate the weak. Y'all have life completely wrong. Y'all think power is to oppress and bring harm to living things in the same reality you in. We all earthlings. It don't matter what race or species you are. When you dealing with where we at, we all earthlings, and y'all think power is to rule over another earthling in some way. Our trees can't stop us from chopping them down. So being as though we have the power to chop them down, let's just chop all trees down and do what we want. And this is the imbalanced perspective. This is what happens when you don't have no balance within and you're learning things. You begin to cause destruction, not even realizing it. And this is why y'all look at flowers and grass and all these things as nothing. And y'all will pick a piece of flower off the ground with no problem. It means nothing. If it is life, it don't matter because you're more supreme because you can do that. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. Power is to compensate the weak. If you have more power, you are supposed to assist those that don't have it. That's what you was given it for. A parent is more powerful than the child. They know more. Therefore, they assist and compensate the child, being as though the child is weak and can't do anything for itself. You don't beat the baby up and say, well, being as though you weaker than me, I'm beating you up and ruling over you. I mean, we try to rule over our kids here, but this is what I'm saying. When perspective is imbalanced, everything is lost. And a lot of the teachers, 99% of the teachers, they have to take a time to self, to find that balance where they can begin to look at things from the duality, in the fairness, unbiasedly, and get their spirit back in control, where they look at things from the principles of it, the morality of it. This will help brothers from just saying what's popular, because a lot of teachers know the things that they teach is wrong, because a lot of the teachers watch me, believe it or not. So they know. This is why I'm avoided. But they know what they teach is wrong, but if you say I was wrong, then where does that... So this is the mindset. If I go against what I was already teaching, then they completely lose the perspective that you came to teach the people truth. You can't get lost in your pride and ego and embarrassment and say, well, I know I'm wrong, but I don't care because I'm not about to embarrass myself. So I'm going to find a way to make what I'm saying right. And this is where that leads. I don't have to force the sperm is the spirit to be true. It's common sense. It's just overlooked because people don't have balance. The sperm cell went in the egg. It never left the egg. You know the sperm cell and egg developed into what you see before your eyes. You know the sperm cell never came out the egg. And you know the egg and all of that came out as you, baby, and you grew. The egg never stopped growing. It grew in the womb until it was too big for the womb. It came out and it continued to grow because it had a spirit in it. What did it have in it? Sperm cell. If it didn't have that in it, you know what would have happened. It would have got pushed out in the period, like it does every 28 days. But if it gets a spirit, then it continues to develop. So what's more supreme, the egg or the spirit? And this is when dominion has to come in. This is when you have to be unbiased on the knowledge, when you dealing with the sperm in the egg or the spirit in the body. This is when you become biased and racist, because that body is the darkness. That's the desires that got y'all lost out here. And that spirit is what you truly are. And y'all look in the mirror and completely forget that you are a sperm cell that got an egg. Grasp how deep that is. Because brothers are teaching you in biased perspective, from a racist mindset, because they're still angered of what happened to the ancestors. I'm angered sometimes over what happens to the ancestors, but I always get balance back. So you have to grasp, it's not about being a robot and walking around perfect. You can get upset, but you have to be balanced within to where you catch yourself. I'll curse people out, I snap out of it. So you'll notice me cursing someone out and still teaching from humbled spirit, because I can snatch myself from out of it. I know when I'm getting in balance, but it's okay. It's okay if I decide to wake up tomorrow and indulge completely into the physical things, anything I want. It's okay, because I've been spending years now just with the spirit, not getting lost in the physical. This is why when I teach, I'm always able to remind y'all, feed your spirit, because I'm not lost in the physical. When I speak against the Ankh being the meaning of life, it is for that purpose, because y'all are lost in the physical. Y'all think a physical object is the meaning of life, and it has no life within it. Yet the life made all these living things as symbols of life. You, a bird, every living thing is the symbol of the divinity of life. And y'all carve wood and say that's the sign of life. Mind you, a Ankh is the key of knowledge, or whatever you going. Keys mean knowledge. So if you say, oh, I got the keys to the hustle, you basically talking knowledge. You got to have keys to this hustle to get that whizlop. So you got to grasp. Keys mean knowledge. So the Ankh looks just like a key, because that's what it was carved to be. So what's the simple thing? When the pharaohs had the Ankhs, they had the keys to the duat, which is the knowledge to the duat. It's not the meaning of eternal life, because life is eternal. There is no not eternal part of life. You grasp that. The ancients understood that. So why would they make something to say eternal life? Only we look at death as the end of life. This is why we have eternal life. But they didn't. Life was eternal regardless. So you have to grasp that. Life is eternal regardless. What life ain't eternal? What part of it ain't eternal? Yeah, y'all separate life from death. But y'all separate day from night, even though it's one full day. So it's the same thing. Y'all separate life from death, even though it's just one full day on the macro, or one full day in your eternity of life. So night and day is just one full day in the long length of your physical life. And life and death is just one day in the eternity of your life, and you're going to keep having a bunch of days, just like you did in the physical. But y'all don't have a good understanding of things. And the pride and ego stops y'all from saying, hold on, what this brother is saying is truly deep, and I need to take a moment to grasp what he's saying. Y'all need a moment to question me so you can understand in depth. Because people are not able to question me, and it's because I'm not computer savvy. I'm in person. But people don't want to deal with me in person because they think in the back of their minds, this nigga's crazy. He might shoot me. I won't. Don't worry. Y'all get lost. Yeah, I might get, as long as you ain't stupid, everything's going to be groovy. I'm balanced. I'm not going to do nothing irrational. Like, y'all have to grasp. A man's not going to acquire this amount of knowledge and not be balanced. Y'all know I'm balanced because I don't never pull to no one thing. Unless it's the spirit. Because that's what y'all are. And y'all got to grasp that. I don't care about the sperm. These are words. I say the sperm is the spirit because that's what we call the spirit. We just don't see the sperm as the spirit. So that's why I use that word, but the words don't matter. You can call sperm whatever you want, but that little micro thing is divine. Plain and simple. I heard Pharaoh say on one interview, somebody just sent me the other day, I forgot I don't know what he was talking about. He was talking about Illuminati's and them pouring liquor in your ass. If you pour liquor in somebody's ass, it gets to the bloodstream faster, they'll die than if you put it to the mouth. So this is why they be doing wild, crazy stuff in the selling souls in Hollywood. He was basically speaking on that. Now, I didn't do him any justice, so I don't want y'all to get lost. I didn't do him any justice on what he was talking about. But this is the kind of stuff he was saying. He was saying that there's an entity within the body or within the brain. I forgot what he said because he was losing me. But it's like I said, the perspective. The entity within the brain or within whatever part of the body he was talking about, the entity that is the sperm. The sperm cells are entities. And you see how that completely missed his mind? Because he didn't say that. He forgot what those entities was. He just knew like, oh, it's entities within a person's body. It's within a man's body. It's entities. He was speaking of how when someone gets raped as a child, and he was saying a whole bunch of stuff that sounds good, but it wasn't truly accurate. But it was a good assumption, being as though it was a good connection to say maybe that's why. But he said it as if it was a definite fact, like, yo. But he was speaking of saying that when a person gets raped, in whatever splits within them, this makes them like, homosexual and weird and things like this, and it's because it's an entity within the base of the spine. He was saying at the base of the spine, that energy, that's an entity. And I'm like, why he don't realize that that's the sperm cell that went in the egg from day one? I keep telling y'all the sperm is within the brain and the spinal cord. And the brain and spinal cord is within the body. The three. I don't know why y'all just want to keep ignoring that. But he said the sperm is the spirit, but just don't realize it. You can watch the video. He said, whatever he was saying, we know that the Kundalini energy goes to the base of the spine, which is by the anus. So he was speaking on boys and men being raped and, having sex through the anus, and how that affects the base of the spine, which is where the coiled energy is, which is an entity. Mind you, that entity is the sperm cell that went in the egg. When that energy uncoils, it uncoils into the penis or the clitoris. And what you get is the release of sperm cells. So when a man busts a nut, the coiled energy at the base of the spine is nothing more than the tail of the sperm cell stretching out, and it's releasing small micro pieces of itself that will get an egg and develop in conscious and in size. So it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. It's like little pieces of conscious. And if the conscious can get an egg, it can become its own physical person, separate from the conscious it came from. Because we all come from our fathers, meaning we're all sperm cells that got eggs. So we're all just duplicate of a man. Doesn't matter if you're a woman. I had a daughter. She was one of my sperm cells that got a body. And that's how she came into this beautiful life. And it's a deep thing. All of them sperm cells, she got the egg. But it don't matter which one of them would have got the egg from my perspective, because they all little pieces of me. But she got it. And in her getting it, all of them got to come over into this life with her. Because the rest of the sperm cells and the rest of the egg cells, man, this all just becomes the microcell life within. It's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Y'all have to stop listening to scientists. Take what they say and then build up on it. But you got to be able to observe life. Because whatever a person say, if it don't go with reality in real life that you see, it's truly pointless. And we have to just start to realize this as people. Stop pulling for anything. Half the things y'all hear make no sense. We are all from Africa makes no sense. Because Africa is a new word for that continent. That wasn't even looked at as a continent in the past. It was just different lands. Then they took all those lands and called them one. Even though they didn't put them together, they still the same lands. If it was a river separating that land from that land, it's still like that. But they just say, oh, that's Africa now. They still keep their individual names, but in a whole, they're just Africa now. So brothers be like, yeah, we from Africa, but where? Because all them different peoples in Africa, they ain't even the same race as one another. They don't look at one another as the same people. So you have to grasp. We can't reach for stupidity. It's just absurd. We have to get real. There's some white people who are native to Africa. All white people wasn't born in Europe. Y'all have to grasp this. Ain't nobody assigned to no place. Who told y'all this? People flip-flop and swap around. 2,000 years from now, black people may live in China. But that don't mean that's where we always been, and that don't mean that's where we native to. Times change. Life is long, especially on Earth. And through all the billions of years of history on Earth, it changes. You go eons back, whole different system. So you have to grasp. You go 500 years back, they never heard the terms black and white. We've done simplified the life down to stupidity. Grasp how deep what I just said is. We done simplified the life down to stupidity. You don't want to know who's who no more, so you like, man, everybody just either black or white. It's absurd. We have to get real. Things change. Names and things like this don't matter. Nationality, things like this don't matter. Because it just keeps changing and getting more complex and retarded. The longer you go. You get to the point where light-skinned blacks, they feel like they different than blacks, and it don't stop. Y'all gotta really start to think. Like, this is how dumb this is. We all the same, but we all just different colors. Because I'm not the same as the next black nigga. So when we try to sit here and bunch the one white nigga ain't the same exact color as the next. We all the same. Our own unique color. Everybody's their own unique color. Then people want to separate. Oh, he got straight hair, he got nappy hair, and this is how that starts, and people start to get lost. And I come from this place, and mind you, this is all Earth. What the fuck are y'all talking about? Who names rooms in the house? It's one house. Nigga, find a bed and shut the fuck up. And this is how y'all live in Earth. This my land, that's my land. Okay, where you taking it? Where you taking it? Y'all get lost. I heard somebody say, man, Tupac died broke. Who the fuck dead needs money? You see how lost y'all are into the physical. Y'all look for any dumb thing to say. Excuse my mannerism, but this irks me. Because y'all look for reasons to insult the dead. The man dead. And y'all talking about physical shit. He ain't physical anymore. It's absurd. Disrespect a dead man. Whether he's dead or not, he's supposed to be dead. So, we speaking in them terms. Now, Tupac died broke. Good. Everybody should die broke. What the fuck are you trying to die with physical money for? What are you doing with it? This how lost y'all are. Motherfucker want to die rich. Okay. What that mean? Your kids will be rich? Okay. What that mean? Motherfuckers gonna die? Motherfuckers motherfucker die lost in the physical, completely unfamiliar with himself. Because when you die, ain't going to be no more physical body. It's going to be just like when you dream. You go to dream world, there ain't no physical body. Your body in the bed. And you niggas are unfamiliar with the spiritual. This is why when y'all dream, y'all have no correlation to what's going on. And you wake up and you like, oh, my body wasn't moving, so that means nothing happened. I was just dreaming. Mind you, the conscious is all. The conscious control the body when the body is active. When the body go to sleep, the conscious is still all. And it might not feel like going to sleep, and that's why you dream. But it ain't a dream. It's just the conscious continuously existing. But y'all don't grasp these things. Because y'all lost in comedic science. Mind you, the comedic science that's being taught today ain't the same comedic science of the past. They ain't say the black woman was God in the past. They was concerned with the sun, which is the great spirit. It is the spirit within the macro being. Just like you got a spirit within you. And it looks like a big bright sun to all the micro life within you. And when they look up, they see that light coming from your brain or within your brain, because they within you. So they see everything within you. So your brain is too big for them to see. All they can see is the little sperm cell within the brain. But even that's huge to them. And it's bright the same way our sun is to us. And the ancients just understood. Ra, or the sun, is nothing more than the macro being that we are all in, because we are the micro life within Ra. We're too small to see Ra, and we're within them, just like the micro cell life is within you. But the sun, y'all have to learn to correlate macro and micro. Y'all say these things, but y'all never correlate them in teaching and say, see, this is micro and macro. Y'all say weird stuff, be micro and macro, but it don't have nothing to do with anything. And I don't want anyone to take this as a jabbing video or I want to spark up anger within other teachers. I truly want us to just get on track. It's irking me. It doesn't matter who's the most popular. It doesn't matter who's the best this or that. What's important is that everybody has to learn from life their self so that their perspective is not altered by the next person. This is why I say, man, y'all got to learn from the life the way I do. Therefore, everyone can pull from truth. Because if we all learn it from life, then we all learn it from observation. Some will observe better than others, but everything will be on the same path of thought. Because what is being received is from one source and it's the same. The life. Right now, y'all are receiving y'all knowledge from men in their perspectives. And men don't agree. And this is why y'all have even comedic followers don't agree with comedic followers. But anybody who believes in life, they'll never disagree with anything I say. If anything, they'll step back and say, I'm going to let the brother do what he do. Because he get it. Those who believe in life, those who have an understanding somewhat of nature, they don't speak out if I'm speaking. Ain't no point. So we don't disagree with one another. But when you go to other religions and things, y'all don't even agree with each other. So it's a deep thing. Y'all just have to grasp. And the people y'all may think believes in the life like I do, they don't. Nature ain't the life. Grasp that. Nature is just the behavior of life. It's the personality of life. Y'all think the forest and the wilderness is nature. And y'all think the city ain't. But before the city was built, it was the wilderness. Everything was the wilderness. Just because you put concrete and shit over something, don't change the nature of it. Y'all are lost. Like, really lost. And y'all lost in insults. Because y'all think I be insulting y'all, and I don't. I just say what y'all say and show how foolish. Y'all don't think. Just think a minute. This is why I always take the time to reflect. I spend hours thinking. Y'all spend hours just talking. It's a deep thing. But hopefully knowledge was received in this video. Hopefully someone who's popular sees this video and find some balance within themselves and spread this to the world. Because people got to begin to understand, man, all this God and dominion stuff that y'all get lost in, if it's about dominion over somebody else and most highs and this imbalanced talking stuff, it is not of the life. It is man-made and it is fake. And y'all might as well forget it. I know we got a lot of technology, and this makes y'all think we're smart and advanced, but it only shows how stupid we are, because all of our technology handicaps us, and it shortens our life, and it kills us, and it does so much destruction to us in all the life. But we think just because we can make a complex thing, then that means we smart. But if you're not smart enough to know the effects, the cause and effects of what you're creating, then you're a fool. So grasp that. It's your main man Solace, the groovy, humbled, wise servant.